guys, welcome to a Paladin's Crusade. I'm Howie, and I apologise. I apologise that I'm not wearing my usual very iconic jacket and beanie. The reason being that it's December, I live in Australia, and it's very hot at this time of year, so I'm not going to wear it. You're just going to have to deal with that. Anyway, today we're talking about crappy practices, more specifically with next gen. Stop calling it next gen, it's current gen now. It's been out for about a year, and during that year we've seen some very interesting practices, to say the least, by players, developers and publishers alike. And we're going to talk about those. I'm going to give you my top 5 silly practices that people have indulged themselves in over the last year and a half or so. So sit back and relax. Number 5.
We were so excited for Destiny. You can imagine our shock, dismay and crushing disappointment when what we were presented with was a shallow, vapid, criminally uninteresting misfire. We are at the time of recording around 3 or 4 months into Destiny's life, and it seems that whatever Bungie had envisioned at the beginning of the process was nowhere near what it was actually capable of producing at the end of all things. The fact that this lazy grindfest, that's undeniably, by the way, an MMO, comes from the same developer as the massively popular, very good sci-fi shooter series Halo, only serves to add insult to injury. Now, to begin, it looks like an MMO, it plays like an MMO, it is a frickin' MMO, okay? Don't hide behind the forced facade of shared world shooter just because you know that people are generally sick of mediocre MMOs that are not and can never hope to be World of Warcraft. The most astounding part of the whole thing is a defense of the title by players who refuse to criticize things that they like. When criticizing the shit story, and it is shit by the way, come on, I have been told, yeah, but it's not finished yet. Cool, I look forward to purchasing DLC on top of the $70 I forked out at launch. Nope. A full-price game needs a fully fledged story. Start fighting for better treatment by developers and publishers. It's not okay, and AAA devs need to stop this practice. If Destiny wasn't such a massive victim of hype, and it was hugely a victim of hype, it would have avoided any disappointment, and I feel like it would have been a much better received title. The game's actually quite good. It's passable, it can be fun to play, but not compared to what we were led to expect. You know, by all means, make shitty, grindy, pretty but uninteresting games like Destiny, but call them what they are, and don't make promises of a Destiny you can't fulfill. Number 4. Speaking of liars, let's talk about Ubisoft for a moment, shall we? God damn it, these guys. Ubisoft is guilty of a great deal, but nothing grinds my gears more than when a developer openly lies to our faces about something that we all know is total balls. Prior to the release of Assassin's Creed Unity, Ubi revealed that it would run at 900p and 30 frames per second, even on the PS4, which can easily handle 1080p and 60 frames per second. Now, that's fine, 900p is acceptable, I guess, 30 FPS is workable, but it becomes a serious problem when the developer lies to our faces about it and makes it clear that it thinks we're all pretty stupid. I quote, 30 FPS was our goal, it feels more cinematic. 60 is really good for a shooter, action-adventure not so much. It actually feels better for people when it's at that 30 FPS. It also lets us push the limits of everything to the maximum. It's like when people start asking about resolution. Is it the number of the quality of the pixels that you want? If the game looks gorgeous, who cares about the number? At Ubisoft for a long time we wanted to push 60 FPS. I don't think it was a good idea, because you don't gain much from 60 FPS and it doesn't look like the real thing. It's a bit like the Hobbit movie. It looked really weird. Well, that's a load of toss. Pretty greasy statement to say the least. It's also a massive fallacy and an insulting crock of balls. 60 frames per second is better, subjectively, than 30, as is 1080p over 900. Everything moves far more smoothly and looks way better. This is a fact. The Hobbit might have looked weird at 48 frames per second, but The Hobbit is a film. Stop comparing games to movies. I don't want games to be like movies. I want them to play like video games. Cameras in films work very differently to those in games. Trying to tell me what feels better for me. Games that run at 60 FPS on the PS4, most notably The Last of Us Remastered, feel far better to everyone than their 30 FPS counterparts. It doesn't help, of course, that the frame rate in ACU frequently drops below 30 in such a way that it becomes nauseating to look at. Look, I would have gladly accepted a decrease in the gratuitous number of NPCs, which are unnecessary, to say the least. for a consistent frame rate and a higher resolution. In any case, Ubisoft, don't try to lie to us, not about things we know about. Assassin's Creed Unity runs like shit and handles its frame rate like a little baby. Sort your life out, Ubi. Number 3. It doesn't stop there, and yes, we're talking about Ubisoft again. Ubisoft came under righteous fire when it was revealed that Watch Dogs had been graphically downgraded in comparison to its initial announcement. And this trend of bullshit unrepresentative footage isn't on, and has to stop. They of course used the "doesn't represent the finished product" defense, but piss on that. You can't use that defense when you've talked up the graphical aspects of the game in the manner that you have. Now, Watch Dogs is a very good looking game now in its finished state, but nowhere near as good as the original reveal, and this downgrade is absolutely unacceptable in the light of the title's marketing. I don't want to get into this too much, but god damn it, if you can't achieve a particular level of graphical fidelity, don't convince us that you can, and don't brush it off without an apology when your naughty ass is called out on it. Now, Watch Dogs, being a really good game that looks good, didn't need this level of secrecy and deceit. Developers need to learn that if they have a great title that looks really nice, they don't need to lie about it, as it can stand up on its own. Just tell the truth initially, and the whole ordeal will unfold far more smoothly for you. Children know that, Ubisoft. Are you less mature than children? Ubisoft? I think you need to go to your room and think about what you've done, mate. Number 2. My favourite, and perhaps the most infamous example of developer bullshit, is of course the disastrous Xbox One reveal from E3 2013. In a clumsy display of mindless idiocy, Microsoft, a company name now almost synonymous with bad press, unveiled their new console in perhaps the most negative, anti-consumer fashion in gaming history. They implied heavily, even before talking about games, that this gaming system can and should be used as a universal entertainment system. Even though my smart TV literally does everything they are offering, only far better and faster, and is required for the Xbox to work anyway. Trying to convince us that a constant internet connection and the clunky, ill-advised Connect unit were absolutely essential for the console to work, along with the bollocks DRM and disc locking, the company really showed their true colours with this one, and those colours are the pooiest shades of brown you could possibly imagine. What a load of cack. Microsoft responded to questions regarding people without a solid internet connection, you know, the ones that definitely exist, by saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, "We have a console for those people. It's called the Xbox 360. You poor fucks." Of course, in response to the obvious and inevitable uproar, NSoft backpedaled and removed all of the congealed shit in their black shitty box and revealed that they themselves were also full of shite from the get-go. Recently we've seen the Kinect camera being made a forgettable and optional accessory as well, another scrap of our trust and piece of Microsoft's dignity and integrity that has been torn away as a result of this bold-faced lie. Sadly, though, the Xbox One is a good console now, but only because we fought for it, and it doesn't hide the fact that we were openly deceived in the first place. And look, I know this is old news, but I'm still pissed at Microsoft. They're still dirty liars, I haven't forgotten, and we, the mighty gaming community, shall not forget. Number 1. I've saved this for number 1 because it's something that we do to ourselves, and it's a topic of consumer loyalty being taken too far. We've really only just scratched the surface of what is an unfortunate trend in the modern gaming industry. We live in a glorious golden age of gaming, treated to the greatest video game products in history. Yet, unfortunately, the parallel business practices employed by major companies are the most vile, lazy, and greedy we have ever seen. In the light of everything we've discussed, people seem so afraid to criticise the corporations responsible. In response to Ubisoft's long, steaming line of digital poop, I've been told, "Yeah, but I really like Rayman Legends." Okay, well I really like the bakery down the road, their pepper steak pies are the best and the service is fantastic, but I'd still be mad if they filled one of their pastries with dirt and pig spunk and sold it to me at full price. I'd ask them why they did it, and why it was filled with pig spunk and dirt, and if they said the picture doesn't represent the finished product, I'd likely not be too happy. Just because you love some things that a company does not mean that you should just disregard crappy behaviour down the line. Players of Destiny have just blindly and passively accepted that the lackluster story will be sold to us in overpriced pieces, and they're okay with it. Nope! We cannot be complacent. Fight for your rights to professionally develop products. Don't accept bold-faced lies. Companies that serve as platters of untruth and overpriced content deserve scorn, not a ruffling of the hair and a loving smirk. It's not okay, and it's only going to get worse if we do nothing. Thank you.